Dear students, today in Biodiversity and its Conservation Part 4, we are going to talk about the IUCN, Biodiversity and its Conservation, In Situ and Ex Situ Conservation. What is IUCN? The International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN, is an organization working in the field of nature conservation and sustainable use of natural resources. It was established in 1948 and located at G. Land VD, Switzerland. In the image below on the left side, you can see the building of the IUCN in Switzerland. In the middle, you can see the logo of IUCN. On the right side, you can see the logo of the red list of the IUCN. It is involved in data gathering and analysis research, field projects, and education on conservation, sustainable development, and biodiversity. IUCN's mission is to influence, encourage, and assist societies throughout the world to conserve nature and to ensure that any use of natural resources is equitable and ecologically sustainable. It influences the governments and industries through partnerships by providing information and advice. The organization collects, compiles, and publishes the IUCN Red List of threatened species and their conservation status in the world. It plays a vital role in the implementation of several international conventions on nature conservation and biodiversity. Red Data Book. Red Data Book or Red List is a catalogue of taxa facing risk of extinction. IUCN, International Union of Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, which is renamed as WCU, World Conservation Union, MOGS, Switzerland, maintains the Red Data Book. Concept of Red List was mooted in 1963. Various countries have different types of Red Data Book depending upon the species. On the right side image, you can see the Red Data Book of the Indian animals. Part 1, Invertebrate. The purpose of preparation of the Red List are to create awareness on the degree of threat to biodiversity, identification and documentation of the species at high risk of extinction or the endangered species, provide global index on declining biodiversity, preparing conservation priorities and help in conservation of action, information on international agreements on conservation of biological diversity. Red List has 8 categories of species: extinct, extinct in wild, critically endangered, endangered, vulnerable, low risk, data deficiency, not evaluated. Biodiversity and its conservation. The natural resources of the earth, including air, water, land, flora, and fauna of the natural ecosystems, must be safeguarded to the benefit of the present and the future generations through careful planning and management as appropriate. This was given by the principle of the Stockholm Declaration in 1972. The large-scale loss of biodiversity and its global impact makes conservation the need of the hour. Conservation of biodiversity is protection and scientific management of biodiversity so as to maintain it at its optimum level and derive sustainable benefits for the present as well as future generations. It aims to protect species from extinction and their habitats and ecosystems from degradation. General strategies in conservation: identify and protect all threatened species, identify and conserve in protected areas the wild relatives of all the economically important organisms, identify and protect critical habitats for feeding, breeding, nursing, resting of each species. Resting, feeding and breeding places of the organism should be identified and protected. Air, water and soil should be conserved on priority basis. Wildlife Protection Act should be implemented. There are 2 types of conservation strategies: in situ conservation, ex situ conservation. Here you can see the classification of the biodiversity conservation. The left side is the in situ conservation, which has the protected areas like the national park, the sanctuaries, biosphere reserves, which can be the terrestrial or marine. In ex situ conservation, we have the seed bank, field gene bank and cryopreservation. The botanical gardens, the zoological parks, the aquaria and the arboreta. Another group is the home gardens and the sacred plants. Let us move on to one by one. In situ conservation. Conservation in the natural habitat. This is the conservation of genetic resources through their protection within a natural or man-made ecosystem in which they occur. It is conservation and protection of the whole ecosystem and its biodiversity at all levels in order to protect the threatened species. In the right side image, you can see the deer population in the forest. Maximum protection of biodiversity hotspots regions with very high levels of species richness. Although all the biodiversity hotspots together cover less than 2% of the earthland area, the number of species they harbor is extremely high, and protection of these hotspots could reduce the ongoing mass. On the left side, you can see the population of the elephants. The right side, you can see the rhinoceros. Protected areas. These are biogeographical areas where biological diversity along with the natural and the cultural resources is protected, maintained and managed through legal measures. Protected areas include national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, community reserves and biosphere reserves. World Conservation Monitoring Center has recognized 37,000 protected areas worldwide. Below you can see the protected areas of the world. India has about 771 protected areas covering 1,62,099 square kilometers, comprising of national parks which are 104, wildlife sanctuaries which are about 544, and biosphere reserves which are about 18, and several sacred groves. The protected areas in India are of 4 categories of protected areas, which are constituted under the provisions of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. These are national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, conservation reserves, community reserves. Apart from these, India has biosphere reserves and tiger reserves. National parks. It is a natural habitat that is notified by the state government to be constituted as a national park due to its ecological, faunal, floral, geomorphological or zoological association of importance. No human activity is permitted inside the national park except the activities permitted by the Chief Wildlife Warden of the state under the conditions given in Chapter 4 of the Wildlife Protection Act WPA of 1972. There are 104 existing national parks in India covering an area of 40,501 square kilometer, which is about 1.23% of the geographical area of the country, according to the National Wildlife Database, August 2018. National Park is an area which is strictly reserved for the betterment of wildlife and biodiversity, and where activities like development, forestry, poaching, hunting, grazing and cultivation are not permitted. Here you can see the map of India, the different types of national parks from the Kashmir to Kanyakumari and from the left Gujarat to the Assam. They are large areas of scenic and national beauty maintained for scientific, educational and recreational use. They are not used for commercial extraction of resources. Kaziranga National Park, you can see the image on the right side, is a protected area for the one-horned rhinoceros in Assam. The list of the national parks in Tamil Nadu, year of establishment and in which district it is present. Gindi National Park, 1977 establishment, present in Chennai. Gulf of Mannar, which is a marine national park, year of establishment 1986. The district is Ramanathapuram and Tuticorin. Indira Gandhi or Annamalai National Park, which was established in 1976 in the district of Coimbatore. Mudumalai National Park, which was established in 1940, present in the district of Nilgiris. Mukurti National Park, which was established in 2001 in the Nilgiris district. Wildlife Sanctuaries, WLS. Any area other than the area comprised with any reserve forest or the territorial waters can be notified by the state government to constitute as a sanctuary if such area is of adequate ecological, faunal, floral, geomorphological, natural or zoological significance. This is for the purpose of protecting endangered factual species. Some restricted human activities are allowed inside the sanctuary area, details of which are given in Chapter 4 of the Wildlife Protection Act in 1972. Ecotourism is permitted inside the sanctuaries as long as the animal life is undisturbed. There are 544 existing wildlife sanctuaries in India, covering an area of 1,18,918 square kilometers, which is 3.62% of the geographical area of the country, according to the National Wildlife Database 2017. Sanctuaries are tracts of land where wild animals and fauna can take refuge without being hunted or poached. Here you can see the map of India with the different wildlife sanctuaries starting from the Kashmir to Kanyakumari and from the left Gujarat to Assam. Other activities like collection of forest products, regulated harvesting of timber, private ownership of land are permitted. Periyar Wildlife Sanctuary in Kerala is famous for the Indian tiger and Asiatic elephant. On the left side image you can see the Indian tiger in the Periyar Wildlife Sanctuary and the elephants. Wildlife sanctuaries in Tamil Nadu, the prominent WLS in Tamil Nadu, year of establishment and which district it is present. Vedantangal Lake is a birds wildlife sanctuary established in 1936 in Chengalpet district. Mudumalai Wildlife Sanctuary present in the year 1942 in the Nilgiris district. Point Calimere, which is a wildlife sanctuary established in 1967 in Nagapattinam district. Indira Gandhi or Annamalai Wildlife Sanctuary established in 1976 in the district of Coimbatore. Mundandurai Wildlife Sanctuary, which was established in 1988 in the Tirunelveli district. Here you can see the wildlife sanctuaries and parks of Tamil Nadu in the map of Tamil Nadu. Anna Zoological Park, Gindi National Park, Point Calimere Wildlife Sanctuary, Gulf of Mannar, which is a marine national park, the Veeramalai Wildlife Sanctuary, Srivilliputturu Sanctuary, Kalakkadu Wildlife Sanctuary, the Indira Gandhi Wildlife Sanctuary and National Park, and the Mudumalai Wildlife Sanctuary and National Park. The Madras Crocodile Bank Trust and the Center for Herpetology was the brainchild of the legendary Romulus Whittaker, whose photo is given below, and a handful of like-minded conservation visionaries who began work on the facility in 1976. It aimed to save India's dwindling crocodilian population. The mission is to promote the conservation of reptiles and amphibians and their habitats through education, scientific research and capture breeding. The Crocodile Bank remains a world leader in the field of frontline conservation and the preservation of natural landscapes. You can see on the right side the large number of crocodiles in the Crocodile Bank. The Crocodile Bank currently consists of a large reptile park near Chennai and several field projects located throughout the subcontinent, reaching as far as the Nicobar Islands. About 500,000 people visit the bank every year, making it one of the most popular tourist attractions along the East Coast Road. In the image on the right side, you can see the extraction of the poison or venom from the snakes is done in the Crocodile Bank. This venom is used for medicinal purposes. Arinar Anna Zoological Park, Vandalur. Arinar Anna Zoological Park is spread over an area of 602 hectares of reserve forest at Vandalur, Chennai. It is one of the largest zoo in Southeast Asia in terms of area. The zoological park exhibits different classes of animals. It has around 2,500 wild animals of nearly 180 species, which includes mammals, birds and reptiles. 34 years since its establishment, the zoological park has emerged as a successful ex situ conservation center and a captive breeding center for many endangered species like Royal Bengal tiger, lion-tailed macaque, the Nilgiri langur, the grey wolf, etc. The images of these animals are given below. The zoo has many attractive features like butterfly park, children's park, walk-through aviary, lion and deer safari, Forest Museum, Interpretation Center, etc., which attracts more than 21 lakh visitors every year. The zoo has strengthened its protection by means of installing CCTV cameras for both visitors and animal management under the name of Zoo EI. The image you can see on the left side, the butterfly park, and the lion safari on the right side. 24/7 animal live streaming was introduced for the benefit of the visitors for the first time in the world. Vandalur Zoo mobile application was introduced to provide services to the visitors like facility to book tickets, zoo navigation, animal information in text and audio format. Digital payments at ticket counters are also available. People can adopt their animals and take care of them. The zoo school has been involved in education and outreach programs. One such successful program is Zoo Ambassador, which has been conducted for school children. In the year 2018, more than 400 students were trained and titled as Zoo Ambassadors. The most awaited camps are conducted during the summer season at the Arinar Anna Zoological Park. Here the Zoo Ambassador during the holiday season are educated and training is given to the children so that they will spend good and memorable time with the animals at the Arinar Anna Zoological Park. The right side image you can see the training being given to the children. The zoo also has a rescue center which accommodates rescued wild animals and treats them to come out of stress. The source of this information is from the director Arinar Anna Zoological Park, Vandalur, Chennai. In the images you can see below the animals being taken care of. Biosphere Reserve. BR or Biosphere Reserve is an international designation by UNESCO for representative parts of the natural and cultural landscapes extending over large area of terrestrial or coastal marine ecosystems or a combination thereof. BRs are designated to deal with the conservation of biodiversity, economic and social development, and maintenance of associated cultural values. Biosphere reserves are thus special environments for both people and nature and are living examples of how human beings and nature can coexist while respecting each other's needs. The Biosphere Reserve Program is guided by UNESCO's Man and Biosphere Program, MAB program, as India is a signatory to the landscape approach supported by MAB program. Here in this image you can see the Man and Biosphere program launched in 1971. UNESCO's Man and Biosphere MAB program is an intergovernmental scientific program that aims to establish a scientific basis for the improvement of relationships between people and their environments, practically implemented through the establishment of biosphere reserves, aims to improve human livelihoods, equitable sharing of benefits, safeguarding of natural and managed ecosystems, integration of biological and cultural diversity, promotes innovative approaches to economic developments that are environmentally sustainable and also socially and culturally appropriate, combines the practical application of natural sciences, social sciences, economics and education. I have no teacher other than nature. This was described by Henry Rousseau. The scheme called Biosphere Reserve was implemented by the Government of India in 1986. There are 18 biosphere reserves in the country. Agastya Malai between Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Kerala, whose image is given on the right top. In the middle is the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve between Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Below is the Gulf of Mannar, which is in Tamil Nadu, and it is a marine reserve. These are the bioreserves that have been notified in Tamil Nadu. The biosphere reserves in India, you can see number 1, Nanda Devi, number 2, Nogrek, number 3, Manas, number 4, Dibru, Saikova, number 5, Dehang Debang, number 6, Sundarbans, number 7, Gulf of Mannar, number 8, Nilgiri, number 9, Great Nicobar, number 10, Similipal, number 11, Kangen Zonga, number 12, Pachmarhi, number 13, Agastya Malai. And newly added are number 14, Achanakmar, Amarkantak, Kutch, Cold Desert, number 17, Sheshachalam, and number 18, Panna. Sacred groves. A sacred grove or sacred woods or any grove of trees that are of special religious importance to a particular culture. Sacred groves feature in various cultures throughout the world. You can see the distribution of the sacred groves in different areas, ranging from Kashmir to Kanyakumari and from the left Gujarat to Arunachal Pradesh. Ex situ conservation. It is the conservation of selected rare plants or animals in places outside their natural homes. It includes off-site collections and gene banks. The three sites of the ex situ conservation are zoos, parks and botanical gardens, the seed banks and the gene banks. Off-site collections, they are live collections of wild and domesticated species in botanical gardens, zoological parks, wildlife safari parks, arboreta gardens with trees and shrubs. The organisms are well maintained for captive breeding program. As a result, many animals which have become extinct in the world continue to be maintained in the zoological parks. As the number increases in captive breeding, the individuals are selectively released in the wild. In this way, the Indian crocodile, you can see the image on the left side with a long snout, and the Gangetic dolphin, the image on the right side, have been saved from extinction. Gene banks. Gene banks are a type of biorepository which preserve genetic materials. Seeds of different genetic strains of commercially important plants can be stored in long periods in seed banks. Gametes of threatened species can be preserved in viable and fertile conditions for long periods using cryopreservation techniques. Ex situ conservation. About the gene bank. Gene banks are a type of biorepository which preserve genetic material. For plants, this could be by freezing cuttings from the plant or stocking the seeds, example in a seed bank. For animals, this is the freezing of sperm and eggs in the zoological freezers until further need. With corals, fragments are taken which are stored in water tanks under controlled conditions. Plant genetic material is a gene bank preserved at -196 degrees Celsius in liquid nitrogen as mature seed or in the form of a drying condition. In plants, it is possible to unfreeze the material and propagate it. However, in animals, a living female required for artificial insemination, where it is often difficult to use frozen animal sperm and eggs. There are many examples of it being done successfully. However, it is not economically feasible to conserve all the biological wealth and all the ecosystems. The number of species required to be saved from extinction far exceeds the conservation efforts. Differences between in situ and ex situ conservation. In situ conservation, it is the on-site conservation or the conservation of the genetic resources in natural populations of plant or animal species. Ex situ conservation, this is a conservation strategy which involves placing of the threatened animals and plants in special care locations for their protection. In situ conservation is the process of protecting an endangered plant or animal species in its natural habitat, either by protecting or restoring the habitat or by defending the species from predators. Ex situ conservation, it helps in recovering the populations or preventing their extinction under simulated conditions that closely resemble their natural habitats. Example of in situ conservation: national parks, biosphere reserves, wildlife sanctuaries form in situ conservation strategies. Ex situ conservation strategies, the zoological parks and botanical gardens are common ex situ conservation programs. So today in biodiversity and its conservation part 4, we discussed about the IUCN, biodiversity and its conservation, in situ and ex situ conservation. So thank you. Kindly subscribe, like, share and comment the channel Read MedPrep Academy. Kindly register for UG and PG NEET type MCQs in our website www.readmedprepacademy.com. Our Facebook ID is Read MedPrep Academy. Our email is readmedprepacademy@gmail.com. Our Instagram is Read MedPrep Academy. Kindly post your questions in the comment box. We will reply with appropriate answers. To join readmedprep Academy, WhatsApp the number given below. So thank you very much.